there's a lot of things going on in the world of books today. I think it's really cool. So first, let's start off by talking about Dragonsteel.
Oh my gosh.
Dragonsteel Nexus 2024.
I still feel like I have to because I was so
I swear
frustrated.
every other day. So first off, everyone already knows this because it's been like KSL did an article about it even.
Oh, it was that big of a deal.
For those who don't know, KSL is kind of like the Utah local news. And yeah, so Dragonsteel Nexus sold out 7,500 tickets in under an hour, or like an hour.
Yeah.
So just totally crazy. Donovan and I, we barely got tickets. Like
barely.
I got there on time, and there's so many bugs. I got there on time. I clicked on VIP tickets.
Yeah, we both got there in time, just barely though, because I think you said you got there when there was 1479 tickets left. I got there when there was 1481, so there was literally like 20 tickets left.
Yeah.
And
so
stupid
then
system was buggy.
Yeah, but then because of bugs, we weren't able to get that, and then I almost didn't get general admission tickets. By the time I finally got it to work, there was only 300 left, and so we have tickets, thank goodness, and we're super excited. But man, it was annoying though.
Yeah, but man, I can't stop thinking about is I feel like this was kind of like a blunder on Dragonsteel's part, like because there was a video Brandon put out. I don't know how long ago it was, but apparently he was like, I don't remember if you even saw it, but he was talking about that they needed people to buy tickets, like plane tickets, and book hotels, because apparently if they do that enough, then it can make it easier for them to be allowed to get a bigger convention.
I've looked more into this, and that's Salt Palaces.
Oh, it's Salt Palace.
They won't give them certain spaces unless they have a historical record of how many people come to their conventions. So, like, for example, the space that they're giving them for this 2024 convention is based on how many people booked hotels and planes and, like, generally came for last year's convention.
That's so dumb.
And so there was that. And Brandon even said, like, he talked to them and they didn't allow them. They couldn't get more space. Like, they tried to get more space. And what's cool is Brandon also released another video. As he said, I think about 100. He has 100 tickets or so that he usually gives to, like, friends and other people that he knows.
That's the other video.
And he's going to give those tickets to people that
bought plane
tickets.
So that's what I was going to get into. Like I couldn't stop thinking about, like, you and I were super frustrated because we couldn't get this thing working. But imagine like all those people who were like having the exact same thing. They couldn't get into the site. They clicked on it, nothing happened, or maybe even saw that, like, oh, there's only 500 tickets left, and then they're gone. It's because like freaking whatever. What is that website? Tabletop or something?
Tabletop. Yeah, their servers couldn't quite handle it.
Yeah. Even though Brandon mentioned one of his videos, in that same video too, I think that they added more servers and it still couldn't handle the amount of
everyone
people.
at Dragonsteel was like, they didn't expect it to sell out like this quickly, and it was just like, wow.
Anyway, I felt so bad for all the people who were like saying on all the forums and stuff, like, I bought a plane ticket that's not refundable and I got a hotel, and now what am I supposed to do? So I hope you guys get tickets. I hope.
Yeah, hopefully.
But I mean, like,
I wonder what kind of tickets. I wonder if the 100 tickets he had are VIP tickets or if they're
that'd be cool.
General admission.
I wonder
tickets.
if he's going to charge him for it. If he's going to be like, okay, you get this ticket, but it's still going to be the price of the ticket, or if he's going to be like, I'm so sorry, just take the ticket.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. If they're general admission, I can see him giving them. But
Brandon, one of my favorite things about Brandon is that he is like the opposite of greedy, whatever the heck that is.
Yeah, he's 100. Everything he does is 100% for the fans.
Yeah, like
which is awesome.
I would 100% guarantee that he like feels awful that all the people who bought tickets, plane tickets and stuff, either have to just not come and waste their money on a plane ticket, or they're going to come to Utah and then just do other crap that they're probably not going to think is as fun because they wanted to go to Dragonsteel.
Yeah, well, seriously.
But yeah, I think that's one thing I love about Brandon is that he's super generous, and he is like giving away these things and giving away those tickets that but I don't think 100 is enough to
I don't know
get all the people,
because he said there was 30 people that had reached out specifically to Dragonsteel, kind of like what the heck. And so
another thing that really sucks about that is like, so actually I'm really glad to hear that it wasn't like Brandon or people at Dragonsteel are like, oh, you guys need to buy plane tickets before we release tickets. It was this stupid Salt Palace. That makes me feel better about that because, I don't want to hate Brandon.
And apparently, because the reason that they gave for not being able to give more space now was because apparently they have other conventions going on during that weekend.
Oh, really?
So
So we're gonna get everything mixed up. I wanted to have more security now, or some sort of checkpoint. You're gonna be like, I got to take it to go to this convention, and
Maybe.
not for like some other
I
convention.
feel like last year we went, it was like a completely empty, huge building, and you had to walk through this miles and miles. It felt like
Seriously, it felt huge. I swear, on the door we walked in to the place we needed to be, it took us like 5 minutes to walk through this building or something like that.
Yeah,
It
and
was-
you
it was
could have,
massive.
and we went right. You could have gone left, and you had just as much space. And
Yeah,
all was
seriously.
empty. Like
Yeah.
it was just Dragon Still people.
I swear we saw like 2 or 3 maybe like employees of the Salt Palace doing their own thing, but like otherwise it was just like empty.
Yeah, just
It
empty.
was insane.
But,
They have so many like conference rooms and just giant spaces too.
yeah,
It doesn't look that big when you're outside.
no, it doesn't. So, yeah, so hopefully this means 2025. They said they already have 2025 booked, so hopefully that means that
Yeah.
they'll be able to get a little more
Hopefully,
space.
I hope that all the people who bought plane tickets, all of their sacrifices will not be in vain. Maybe 2025, like the Salt Palace will be like, oh, we're so stupid. Look at all of these people that wanted to come but couldn't because of our dumb rule.
Right.
They probably won't say that, I'm sure. But
I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, but anyways, I like what this is becoming because I think Brandon, I don't know if he explicitly said this or I'm just thinking this is what his plan is, but this is obviously Dragonsteel is all about the Cosmere, all about Brandon's works, which is awesome. But I think it's also an opportunity for it to become just a book convention, which
yeah, totally.
like centered around Brandon Sanderson because he said there's like a lot of exciting announcements and they're gonna have some big name authors coming.
Oh, sweet.
And so he said they're either gonna announce it in like I think July, so they're gonna make an announcement and then they're gonna save some announcements for the actual convention. And so I hope they're gonna be like some really cool big authors are gonna be there. I don't know who it would be like. I don't know if it's gonna be George R.R. Martin big or if it's gonna be like
Maybe a Christopher Paolino come back or something like that.
I don't know because they said big. Like Christopher's big, but he's not like Brandon big. Like
Yeah,
the way they were alluding it was going to be like another author of Brandon's caliber is going to come.
You know what would be awesome and also kind of like
Like Robert Jordan has been resurrected.
that would be insane. I'm thinking like, what if they did something nuts crazy that got Jim Butcher or something?
Oh my gosh, I would freak out.
I would too.
I would freak out. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine Jim Butcher coming. I would have to bring all my Jim Butcher books.
That's the thing that would kind of like suck about it is because like I would be the same thing. Like I'm bringing every single one of my books and he's gonna sign anything that
I'm like, here's 30 books, sign them all, please.
Can you please just that'd be insane.
I would for sure want him to sign the first book of each series, like Stormfront, the Aeronauts Windlass, whatever the first book of the Calderon
What is it? I think it's the Furies of Calderon.
I think so. And then
Yeah, dude, that'd be. I'd have so many books. I have the complete series of all 3 of this series that he has. So the Dresden Files, Codex Alera, and the
Dresden
Cinder
Files
Spiders.
alone is like what?
18 books, not including the
Side
ones that are like
jobs,
the
yeah.
side job. He's got like 3 or 4 books that are like in between each book. So there's over 20 in that series alone now. Oh man, now I'm hoping it's Jim Butcher is coming.
That'd be sick. That'd be so cool.
But I already got the feeling from the 2023 Dragonsteel that this was more like a book convention because I wasn't expecting it, but there was a ton of authors there.
Yeah, I actually went around and talked to a lot of the authors, and there were a lot of them that had taken Brandon's class, and Brandon had helped them write the books that they were trying to sell there. And he had on their covers, he had like an endorsed it. He was like, "Oh, this is a good book."
Which is insane. What other college professor does that for their students? I would dare say
Whatever
few.
college professor can.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I was more. I think a lot of professors could help their students write a book.
like learn how to write, but I don't know.
But I mean, like, I would imagine does Brandon go out of his way outside the classroom to help these authors? I wonder.
I don't know.
I'll be surprised.
But I mean, having his name on something, I'm sure, helped those authors a lot. Hopefully, but yeah. So like really cool things coming this year. Super excited.
Yeah.
It's just a good fun year.
Yeah.
Cool. We also have the new Sticker Project coming out relatively soon.
Well, a year, but yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
But
I
that
was
is
just
kind of
excited. I guess I was just excited. I gotta seriously catch up on like all my reading. I was at Barnes & Noble the other day.
You saw a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I just went to the Brandon Sanderson section, and there's like I just realized there's like several books I haven't read. Like, I haven't read Legion, so I actually picked that up. I've been reading through the Legion books. I'm on book 2, just on my own, and I realized I haven't read Rhythmatist, and I haven't read White Sand, and so they had the omnibus of White Sand there, and I don't really have much experience with graphic novels. So it's kind of hard to get into. I kind of went to the cafe and pried it open and read the first, I guess you can call them chapters. I don't really know.
I don't either.
But
that's one I need to read. I still need to read like the big ones, like some of the big ones. I need to read Elantris and what's the second one? Emperor's Soul or something?
Yeah, so it's not Emperor's Soul isn't
it's not really a sequel.
It's not a sequel. It's
just
just kind of like it there. It's like in the same.
Right.
It's on the same planet.
I haven't read that one. What else is there I haven't read? I also haven't read White Sand. I had to add that to see
You
list.
haven't read Alcatraz either. That's a kid book, but.
Oh, I'm almost done with it. I'm on the last book. And
Alcatraz? I didn't know you were reading Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
It's a kid's book. It's officially classified for like 8 to 13-year-olds, but
yeah,
they're
and
still
it definitely
good.
is a kid's book. Sometimes I'm like, oh boy. What's making it more fun for me though is
his third wall breaks are like really funny.
Yeah, they can be funny. I really love Grandpa Smedry.
Right? I don't know if that's what it's called.
Huh? The third
Is
one?
that what's called third wall?
The fourth wall.
The fourth wall.
When like a
author.
fictional character talks to the person who's reading or watching. So like Deadpool breaks the fourth wall all the time.
Okay. Because it's in Alcatraz. I think we talked about this in the podcast before, but it's in Alcatraz where he says authors get a pleasure out of knowing that people are up late losing sleep reading their books.
Yes. Yep, that's the one.
And I was like,
oh man, I tell you what.
I can't tell you how many first periods in high school I slept through because I was reading a book into the night.
Oh man. I was always one of those where like I wanted so badly to stay up late, and sometimes I could do it, but other times I'd just be like,
I don't know what it was, but like, unless I put the book down, I couldn't sleep. I don't know what it was about me. Same with like movies. I've rarely fallen asleep during a movie or TV show, but
I find that very easy to do.
I don't know what it is. Music too. If there's music on, I can't sleep. It has to be quiet and dark. But I digress. See what else is going on.
Yeah, was there other?
I'm having a dilemma, a personal dilemma, because I've had Kindle. I looked it up. I've had a Kindle since 2017, and so like almost 10 years. Like super. Well, not I guess not almost 10 years. Yeah, because it's 2024.
So we're still like 3 years off.
Like 7 years. It's like 7 years I've had a Kindle. And so like all the books I've read in those 7 years, I looked on my library and my collections, and I have 110 books on Kindle that I've read. And so a lot of those I've reread, like all of my Stormlights are on there. And I've reread those so many times. And like Wheel of Time's on there. I've read those so many times. And I've just like stopped collecting physical books. And I've been feeling like the last like 2 months or so, I've been feeling like an ache in my soul.
Right.
Those of you who read know the ache I'm talking about. Know just like the feeling, this is Murtag, by the way, feeling the picking up a book and just like opening it and like turning the pages and like seeing your progress, and like even down to like having like my hand on the book and like as I go down, like keeping my place. And I have to do that too because I have such a hard time of like reading ahead. So as soon as like an intense part, I'll be like, like sit there. So I always have to have my hand that covers the bottom of the page as I'm going down, so I don't like my eyes don't go down.
That's probably how it started. You don't really need like you can keep your place, but it's more like you need to block what's coming up so you don't like spoil it for yourself.
And like just everything down to like the smell of a book, down to like the sound of the page turning and the feel of the page turning. I did not realize how much I was just aching for that experience of reading a book. And like for years, like I said, 7 years, like the Kindle has like dominated everything because, you know, I got married and like I'm a late reader. And so like reading at night without having to have a light on was like huge.
Yeah.
Reading, not worrying about where I am, because the Kindle's really good at sun. It's good at any kind of lighting you can see perfectly on a Kindle. And that was a huge deal for me, but I'm like starting to just want to hold a book. And so I went to the library and I started reading. I picked up Legion and just been reading through that. And I'm borrowing this from Donovan just today. I could borrow it as Murtag. I still haven't read it. So I'm going to read that. And so that's my dilemma, is now I want physical books, and some people are going to be like, oh, that's not to start reading physical books, but they don't realize how I am. I have to own the books I read.
Yeah.
And so if I start reading physical books, all those 110 books on my Kindle, I'm going to want to buy physically. And given I do have a lot of them, like the Wheel of Time I have, a lot of the Jim Butchers I have, but I don't own all of Brandon's works I've read are all on my Kindle. I haven't bought a single one of his books.
I think I've mostly bought all of his books. And actually, every single one of the Brandon books I've read, I own, like physical books.
So I open it to the community What do you think I should do? Should I switch over to physical books? Should I keep my Kindle? Well, I'm going to keep my Kindle, obviously.
Yeah.
But try to decide what I'm going to start doing more. Should I start reading more physical books, phasing out the Kindle, or should I do a mix of both? I just want to know from the fellow readers, what are your thoughts? Fellow avid readers that are obsessed like we are.
I had that same dilemma probably like a year ago or something, but physical books won out so easily and quick. I couldn't resist. I still like to keep my Kindle around though, because sometimes it's just you want to get the book, and sometimes it is easier to, if you're planning like a trip, like you're going to go on a plane, it's easier to have like the Kindle instead of Murtag's a pretty chunky book, and it's not
That's
super
true.
heavy, but some of those other ones it's easier to have a Kindle. Also, what I love, like we've talked about before, is when we go camping and we want to read
there's something about fire. There's being a fire, and you can't see anything, and you're focused on the Kindle. There's a light on the Kindle, and everything else is just darkness around you.
Yeah.
You just get so into the story.
Exactly. It's like doing that eliminates all distraction, because your
100%.
eyes focus or adjust to the light on the Kindle. So it literally
Yeah,
is,
you can't see
you
any
can see the
movement.
light of the Kindle and the words and stuff like that, and the fire. That's it. You
I
can't
do
even see
love
the
that.
person sitting next
I
to you.
do love that. That's going to be...
Yeah. I've had a few moments over the last couple of summers where I went up to the canyon during the night to go hang out with a friend of mine who's also a reader, and it can become a pain because it eventually gets dark. No, a physical book.
Oh.
It can be a pain to try to read because you're I can't see, and you try to read by the firelight or something, and it's annoying.
You probably have pretty cool book lights these days.
Yeah, actually, I
looked
bought
into
one
that.
recently because I figured the same thing. I bought one a couple months ago thinking oh, they've got to be updated now, because man,
These just,
I hated the old ones.
I stopped using them. I just got a lamp.
They were terrible, yeah. But I like the one I have now because it's this nice LED where I can have the white light, I can have the yellow light, or that some of the third light, I don't remember. But it's USB charged and stuff, so I don't have to worry about finding those little watch batteries or
That's
something.
actually really nice. Yeah. So that's totally an option. Maybe I'll start doing that. But yeah, I just feel this yearning in my soul.
Yeah. They're cheap too.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was only $10.
Oh nice. And then plus there's the side of I was never aware of this. I've had a Kindle for 7 years, and it's just I never thought about it. I would get a Kindle book and I'd be like, oh sweet, this Kindle book is $5 and the hardcover is $20, and
Yeah.
I'm like, sweet, I'm saving $15. Then I never realized how hard that was on authors, and I never until Brandon started fighting Audible. Well, I don't want to say fighting, but
I think
kinda
I would consider that right.
stood up to Audible,
Or at least he stood up to it. Yeah.
and how I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. And I follow Daniel Greene on YouTube, and he kind of talked about being self-published and kind of how hard it is. And I'm like, man, I don't want to the Kindle's so convenient, but I would rather support an author than support Amazon. And so that's another big, huge consideration, is buying books as direct as I can from the author.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's I
Which
don't
I
know
feel
how
like-
Barnes Noble is. I don't know if Barnes Noble is just as bad as
I
Amazon.
think I think they're better than Amazon for sure, but I don't know the author side of things.
I even went on to Brandon's website, dragonsteel.com, and unfortunately, unless I looked in the wrong place, they only sell the really expensive collector leather bounds.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
But I would totally buy a paperback directly from Dragonsteel.
Yeah.
But
I think
I don't know if I want to spend if I'm gonna if I want to build if I want to take the collection that's on my Kindle and build it into the physical library, so I have all those 110 books physically. I don't want to buy a $250 leather bound.
yeah.
That's really cool, and it's a cool collector's thing. But I want a book that I can read, and I'm never gonna. If I buy a leather bound book, I'm not gonna open it. I'm not gonna crack it. I'm not gonna read it. It's just gonna be to display and collect. And so it's already gonna be expensive to find all those things. But
I think buying from Barnes Noble or bookstores is the best way to support authors. Because I don't know what the whole theory is, or I've only heard little things here and there, but it's people are convinced that Amazon is trying to shut down bookstores. Because you go on there
they're
and
trying to shut down everyone.
that's true. It is everyone. It's not just bookstores.
Yeah.
They're trying to monopolize everything, which is just absurd.
They've totally shaken up the market, on how everything is done. Even now, places like Walmart and Smith's are do online orders where you can order online, and you can either have them deliver it or you can come pick up your groceries, just to compete with Amazon. which is good. I think it's good to have competition, but I don't want. And then I had another thought because we're fantasy nerds, and so of course you think about the apocalypse. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if the apocalypse happens right now, at the moment my Kindle dies, I will have no books. Like, I'm not even thinking about food
100%.
or water or survival. I'm like, my books will be gone.
Like I have totally like imagined in my head, like, okay, if the apocalypse happens and like the world goes to crap and like just actually like gets wiped out or whatever, like the first thing I want to do is like figure out how to survive, like get food, water, and like shelter. But like when I thought about shelter, I was like, I should go to a bookstore.
I should go to Barnes & Noble. I'm going to hold up Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, exactly. I could spend the rest of my dang life reading all those books. That'd be great.
Just like start in alphabetical order and just like start reading. Kind of like those of you who've seen I Am Legend, he kind of did a similar thing at Blockbuster where he was just going down the lines, getting one movie and watching all the different movies. But
that'd be fun to do something like that.
Yeah, but I thought about that. I was like, oh my gosh, like it's the moment I don't have electricity. My Kindle usually lasts. It's really old, so it usually lasts about like a week and a half before I need to charge it. So I had to put it on airplane mode and have like the brightness down a little bit, and then it lasts probably a good 2-3 weeks with like regular reading. But when you think about how you're never gonna be able to charge it ever again, that is not long.
Yeah, maybe you'd get lucky and you'd be able to. They do have like solar powered things now. You can get like a power bank that's solar powered that charges itself, so you can charge.
That's true. The other option is part of my survival plan is now to go find Brandon and rescue him and protect him and be like,
you need to keep writing books so we can survive these stories.
So if you're listening to this, Brandon, very unlikely, know that if the apocalypse ever happens,
your fans will come save you.
We will save you.
That'd be funny. Like that makes me want to like have like just a fun fantasy spin-off TV show short or something on YouTube where people go in the apocalypse and go rescue their favorite author. Literally just so they can keep writing books.
Yes. So like your job in this community is to write books.
We'll save the rest of his family's motivation too.
Yes, we'll save everyone.
We'll
save all your family, all your friends, all your loved ones.
Yes, and we'll keep you and them safe so you can keep writing in peace.
So you can keep writing. So yeah. We also, so we mentioned Daniel Greene a little bit, and we wanted to talk about a couple of his books. So I thought it was interesting because for many, many years, Daniel Greene has been kind of like a book reviewer on YouTube, and he finally published a few books. He has 3 books out that I'm aware of. We'll be talking about 2 of them today because they're kind of shorter stories, but they're pretty good.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of criticism. Like, there's a lot of people out there that didn't really like
I
them.
actually noticed that.
I am like suspect, after reading them, I highly suspect that the only reason they have criticism is because Daniel Greene is famous and popular for criticizing books.
Maybe.
And so I think it was mainly trolls being like, oh, your book sucks. Like, you think you're so cool. But I really enjoyed these books. Like,
yeah, when I finished the second book today, Rebel's Creed, and I went on Goodreads to like, I read this book, and I gave it my own rating. Then I read some of the reviews, and the reviews are not even like, his book wasn't good because of this reason. It wasn't good because his writing style was just amateur. They didn't give those reasons. They just are like, I don't like gay stuff, so this is the worst book I've ever read. And there was like a whole thread about that. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that's the stupidest review specifically for Rebel's Creed, because that's actually where the gay stuff is. In the first one, which is Breach of Peace, there's no gay stuff, but
in this one there is.
In the second one there's a couple of gay characters.
You got some bisexual, lesbian, gay. But good books. I think you could definitely tell that he's a new author. But I mean, the story is solid. The characters are solid. The plot was really good. Like, I was into it. I really loved. So going into Breach of Peace, like, so the genre of these books are kind of like, I think Goodreads classifies them as like horror, like mystery horror, science fiction.
When I first started Rebel's Creed, I definitely was like, this is totally a horror. But it kind of went away from that. It was only like a little section, in my opinion. I personally think it's a fantasy mystery, is what I like to think.
Yes, what I loved about this is it definitely had, both of these books had a very heavy dystopian feel. Like, we're in a society that is just completely oppressed. They have propaganda out the nose. They have entire government bodies that are designed and made to suppress the people, to manipulate truth, And it is just insanely bad. And usually when you have stories like this, it's from the perspective of a rebel group.
Yeah.
And the rebel group are like, these people are so terrible. They're doing all these things and it's terrible. But this story is not that. This story follows inspectors and chief and police officers who are enforcing this tyrannical government.
And who are like definitely
they're
believe
like
the
all in,
Empire's
think
good.
that what they're doing is completely good and righteous and that they're doing good things and supporting an amazing good thing, but they're not. They're like supporting an abjectly evil thing and a wicked thing. And it's like the story is about them realizing that.
Yeah.
And like just how their whole worlds are like shook and like destroyed. And they're like, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do? Like, and they're like in a totally hopeless situation. Like the whole time of the story, I was like, they're going to die. And like,
Literally.
I literally felt actual peril for these characters, which like props off to you, Dan. Like that for if like, holy crap. It's been a while since I have read someone outside of like Brandon Sanderson, Jim Butcher, even some of those like Jim Butcher's books, like I don't know what it is, but like these characters, I legitimately thought that they were all going to die. And like I thought that's where this was going.
It seemed like they were killing off like you would follow someone and then that character is dead now. And then you follow someone else, but that character is dead also.
Yeah.
And so,
but I loved it because it got to the point where like my perspective shifted. Because normally I'm like, oh, they're in like a bad situation. How are they going to get saved? Now I'm like, they're in like a holy crap situation. Like, how are they going to die? Like, what's going to happen? Like, they're just going to be totally killed. Because like, there's one point in the story where there's it's kind of like the climax of the first book of Breach of Peace, where they're solving this mystery. There's like this weird drug out there that's like turning these people, like they don't know it's a drug yet, but it's like this weird thing. It's called drip, and that the government's developing to turn people. They're trying to turn people into living weapons, but they're not being very successful at it. So they've been kidnapping homeless people. They've been experimenting on them. They've been killing these people, trying to get it to work. And they finally go after this wealthy, noble, royal family, and that's where this investigation begins. But
so actually, I want to jump in really quick because what I loved about this was this kind of area. When you first start reading Breach of Peace, it's like you're in some sort of fantasy world. You kind of gather, but then there's still it's far enough along to where there's police officers and like precincts, and then there's investigators, and it feels like our world with like
gunpowder weapons,
law enforcement. They have gunpowder weapons, and there's not like really any magic. I mean, they worship someone called the Almighty.
They do have some magic. They have the
I mean, like, you just don't see it.
The Grohland a little. I think I'm saying
right.
That
whatever
like
the
that.
grips use.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you do eventually learn that there is fantasy stuff in this. But what I loved about the beginning is this, like, it made you just feel like you're just reading about police investigating some sort of this whole family was murdered and they're figuring what happened, and like then suddenly things flip on them when they go into the basement, and like the dad of this family is like some demon thing who's trying to kill them all.
Yeah, seriously, it's like insane and it's like disgusting, and like
I mean, he's so nasty.
Just the whole time it kind of just feels like, man, what is happening? Like and shiz hits the fan when because they finally realize, they're like, okay, like one of our own has been working with the rebel group. And he tells us, like, the government's not what we think it is. The government's actually evil and bad, and I'll prove it to you. Come to this warehouse and bring the whole precinct. And they're kind of like, oh, man, it's just like a trap. Like, he's obviously been working for the rebels. Like, are we all going to die? And they're like, no, like, he's this guy they're calling is pretty much like the Sherlock Holmes of this story. Like, he's, like, super good, but he's not the main character. He's kind of like a side character. In the first book, at least. And like, okay, we're going to believe him. We're going to believe that he's going there. We're going to go there, and we're going to confront the government, because the police were supposed to serve the people, is what they think they're doing, even though they're actually serving the government. They call it the Department of Defense, I think, and there's the Ministry of Truth and the Ministry of Science. So it's like totally all these.
Yeah. And they have a Ministry of Defense, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I said Department of Defense, Ministry of Defense. Yeah. But anyway, so they go there. And they're like, holy crap, like, this is true. Like, holy crap, this is actually happening. And then a creature shows up they're called the Anointed. And, like, there's like these superhuman, ultra-powerful things. And then this point happens where, I swear, in every other story I've read that has this kind of peril, like, something happens that the good guys miraculously win. Yeah. It's like they're confronted by this Anointed, and they're like, okay, like, it's over. And they're like, yep, they act like they're going to surrender. I'm like, okay, like, something's going to happen. Like, They're going to get captured, yes, but they're going to find a way to escape. No, the Anointed effing massacres them. Like, so the main character's husband lays down his gun. He kneels down because he still believes that the government's righteous, and the Anointed is like this prophet, this god.
Yeah, because it was like, let's go through the tier really quick, because I think it was like there's the Almighty, whoever that is like the top dog. He rules everything. But then like his second in command are the Anointed.
They're like above everything. Whatever they do is law.
Yeah,
like,
and I think I have one of those moments right now where like I know the name of the girl,
Clid.
It's just like it just left my brain cells. But like Khalid was even thinking when the Anointed showed up and her husband Sam was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like, and he was bowing down to him, surrendering. Like she like was thinking. I'm pretty sure it was this part where she was thinking like, it doesn't matter. The Anointed is above everything. There is no law that holds them back.
So she's like, and she even thinks she's like, oh, I guess I was wrong. Like we were wrong to come here.
Yeah,
because the Anointed's here, so obviously what they're doing here is right.
Right, and it was even that, and like she was talking about how like the Anointed doesn't need a reason to kill someone. It's if they want to do it, they can do it, and it's totally legal.
Yeah, but then like almost like painting this picture, like okay, we're surrendering, it's over. But then the Anointed comes in and just kills everyone, except for it makes it seem like they kill Khalid. In the second book, we realize she doesn't kill Khalid because Khalid. A bunch of things happened to her. One, when she killed the husband in the mansion,
who was infected with the.
He was infected with that stuff, and his blood and guts got all over her. Went in her mouth. She like swallowed it,
and she was wounded too. I think, and some got in
her cuts, went down her throat. So it's just like in her. She's like infected with it.
And what part was it? There was a part where she throws up and like there's all these worms.
Yeah, there's worms
in her. Oh, it sounded so disgusting.
It was freaking nasty. And then on top of that. Chapman, who was the corrupt, the one who's with the rebels, Chapman gave her like this special medicine that made her heal really quickly. So that combined with everything actually set her up to be the first. In the second book, we find out she's the first actual successful experiment that turned into a human weapon, and she like changed and just like. So now I guess I don't know if there's anything else in the first book you want to.
I don't think it matters. We can jump around.
Yeah, but so in the second book is dealing a lot with like the aftermath of this. Like there's this huge cover up of like turn like that.
Oh yeah, because like one thing
because the Anointed goes to the 7th precinct and burns it down, and they hunt down. And they hunt down everyone that saw anything. Like Khalid kind of escapes a little bit and finds these prostitutes, and she hides with them, and they kill all the prostitutes. They burn down the 7th precinct. They burn down the prostitutes, kill all the prostitutes' family, and they're like, oh, it was a rebel attack. And the rebels did all these things, and they make the Ministry of Truth make up this thing, and then the story kind of follows like that. There's this guy that works at the Ministry of Truth, and he's like, my brother was one of those prostitutes, and he came to me and talked about what happened a little bit, and then I had to fill out this report saying that he died before he even came here. So he starts getting suspicious, and then there's a officer that survived. He was injured, and so he was on leave, so he was at the 7th precinct, and he was mentored by Khalid and Sam, her husband, and it's about him and him dealing with like. He can't get his mind around like these people are like, what, they were traitors? Like, no, they weren't traitors. Like, how could they like?
Because they weren't. I mean, like, it's going back. We were talking about this, but like, Khalid and Sam were like, yeah.
His whole thing wasn't. But it was still this perspective of like these people think that the Almighty is good and that the government is good, and he's like, no, it wasn't them. Like they weren't rebels. Chapman was the rebel, and I'm going to prove that they were good people and clear their names. Yeah. It wasn't I'm going to avenge them. It wasn't the government is evil for killing them. There was a mistake, and they've been framed, and I'm going to prove that they were innocent.
Yeah, and he went on this whole thing. About like he went on his whole revenge thing. Like, if Chapman's still alive, I'm going to hunt him down and kill him. It was all.
But anyways, the book kind of opens up with Khalid, and she's in this nightmarish situation that is just. I was like, oh.
It would have been a nightmare for me.
It was so awful.
If they'd have to have me tied down like they would her, because I would have clawed my eyes out, I think, or ripped my skin off. I don't even know.
Well, she definitely was trying to do. She was, oh my gosh. But we won't go into the details.
You have to read the book and find out the nasty details.
But basically, this transformation is really grotesque, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. One thing that would freak the crap out of me too is when she woke up. Like, I don't remember exactly which one it was, but like her left hand and right foot were missing. Like, I don't know. She wasn't. Weren't cut off in the first book, but she woke up
So it's obvious that they've been experimenting on her.
Yeah.
And like, why is my hand and foot gone? Like, it's because it's one of those experiments. The scientists don't give a crap. They're just experimenting on this thing.
Yeah, so that would freak me out right there. And then having to deal with the drip inside you.
But the experiment works. And then throughout the whole book, Khalid undergoes this really grotesque transformation mentally and physically, where she starts feeling herself change, and her hand grows back, her foot grows back, and she develops like almost like this carapace. Like this, and she like gets claws, and her eyes change, her voice changes, and her senses are heightened, and she's like obviously becoming a weapon, a soul, like a weapon.
I thought it was interesting. It even went as far as to where she was like, I can now predict what people are going to do.
Yeah, like
you would think that would be something more because like, I can predict what people are going to do because she's been an inspector for however long, but. Apparently, the drip gave her this ability that she can predict.
And she also has this really cool ability that I thought was cool, is she can isolate sounds like really well. Like I think there's a lot of books I've read and a lot of stories I've read where like people have really, really good hearing, and they can like focus and kind of like pick things out, but she can actually mute all other sounds that she hears except for like this one thing that she wants to listen to. Like far away, like she's in her jail cell and she like can listen to stuff like a block or two away or something like that. And it's like
insane.
It's like so good. And when she touches things, she can sense it and feel it in a way that she like understands it. Like she knows what this is, and she can like feel like the different materials that come or whatever it is. So it's like she's like seriously enhanced, like really enhanced. And she's like super pissed. Obviously, her delusionment is completely gone. She hates the government. She wants to avenge Sam's death, and she wants to kill the Anointed, whose name is Avi.
Yeah, it doesn't help that throughout the book, while she is imprisoned and being experimented on, like Avi will show up every once in a while, and like torment her mentally some more. Like, I killed your husband.
And then she's also like, we found your mentor Holden, who was like a son to you and Sam, and I'm gonna kill him. And Khalid's like, no, I gotta.
Yeah. So she just made things worse. So now Khalid is just like, I will kill you before I die.
Yes. Man, just like well done. Like this, I don't know. This story had me right by the suspenders the whole time. I was just like, there were a couple things I thought were a little clunky, but I think if I was a new author, I would have stumbled over these scenes as well, like the sex scene.
Yeah,
felt like
I would stumble over that because I'd be like, how do you?
It felt choppy. It kind of felt like out of place, and just
it did kind of feel out of place. I would agree. It didn't feel like this book was about that, and suddenly like, oh, they're having sex, and we're getting some nice details about that. Like, thanks.
I don't know. It just didn't flow to me. It just didn't feel like a really good, well written scene. But
we're also the kind of readers who are used to like Brandon Sanderson, who kind of he'll like be like, yeah, those two are off doing their own sex thing, but like we're not gonna worry about them. Then you kind of like know about it, but it's not like
I think it's like a combination too of like, because I don't even know, how do you pronounce her name? Reki.
Yeah,
Reki and Holden have like this kind of like weird relationship where they're both bisexual, and they're both more interested in the same sex than they are each other. They're kind of just friends with benefits.
Yeah.
But that relationship isn't really built out in a way that it's really feels super meaningful. No. Like it's obvious that it's written in such a way that's obvious that they're good friends and that they kind of care about each other. But the sex scene kind of is like, okay. And then like, just kind of felt like a little weird. And like the relationship didn't feel like super built out to me in a way that felt like a natural scene. Like you take like Dalinar and Navani, obviously this isn't a fair comparison because Dalinar and Navani's relationship was built over like a book and a half or something.
Yeah.
And like you can feel like their tension growing, and you can feel like their love, and you can feel like their like physical need to be with each other. And then like the sex scene with them was more, it wasn't more left up to the reader's imagination. Like there was like a cut off the scene before anything actually happened. But
right, which I like a lot more. I don't.
It felt like more like it felt more like a actual relationship. Which I'm not saying I don't think Daniel was trying to go for these people have like a really good relationship. Their relationship felt more like, hey, we're both horny and we kind of like each other. Like,
yeah, that's really what it felt like. It did feel like he was trying to like they're really good friends.
Yeah,
they're like as good of friends as you can be. I mean, because like it's the second that Holden quits, then Reki's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, but Reki, we have one point where it was Reki's perspective, and she even says like, I hope Holden doesn't fall in love with me because I fully intend to settle down with a woman. Like I'm not I don't want this relationship to go anywhere. This is just kind of like we're just having fun.
Yeah,
and getting laid.
Yeah, pretty much.
So anyways, the whole thing, though, even though that felt a little clumpy, the whole thing added to the whole atmosphere of this story, which is just like, this is a hopeless society. Like, the government has a complete hold on absolutely everything. And even the rebels, they're like, we're not actually trying to overthrow the government. We're trying to escape. Like, we found another continent across the sea, and we're just trying to leave. And we're just trying to get to that other continent and warn them and prepare them so that when eventually this government comes to conquer them, they're at least semi-ready, because they don't have guns or anything. But we find out that the Anointed have already planted agents in that other place, and they're already planning to conquer, and they already have replacement Anointed made, and they already have ships, and they are using this attack that the rebels do, we'll talk about, to recruit, and like they're already ready to invade. And these rebels think they have all this time, and so
Avi, she said at the end that they have more soldiers than she thinks they'll ever need.
Yeah, because
that must be an absurd amount.
Yeah, because what happens is so Holden, he kind of uncovers he uncovers that the seventh was killed by the government wrongly, and that they shouldn't have been killed. And Khalid and Sam were about to uncover some huge government fiasco, and so he hooks up with the rebels, and then the rebels are like, okay, we'll help you escape. And he's like, and then they find out Khalid's still alive, and he's like, oh, we gotta save Khalid. And so the rebels are like, in order to save Khalid, we have to attack the city. And so there's like 800 of them, and they do strategic things. They create chaos in the city. And so that's what Avi was talking about. So he's like, we can use this, like the rebels attacked us to create this mass chaos and killed a bunch of people. Like, we're going to use this to recruit. So, which seems like it's going to work in this totally 100% brainwash. Like, there's so many mentions of like characters are like, oh, my culture is completely gone. Like, my parents, like a big war happened like only 20 years ago, and already other cultures are like being wiped out and changed, and like everyone's completely brainwashed.
They literally blocked everything, because there was even, I don't remember exactly what Chapman was talking about, but like Chapman is not a native of this empire. He's one of those guys who had his culture wiped out.
Yeah, and his parents were of that culture, and they tried to like teach him things, and he's like, I should have paid attention more, but I didn't.
Yeah, but he did pay attention to like their medicine, whatever stuff that he gave.
Which is crazy.
Khalid.
Those almost seem like magical themselves.
Seriously, they were seriously insane. But like apparently one of the reasons, like the reason like his people's medicine is not like more widely used is because that was one of the things that like this empire is covering up. Yeah, and like they don't want.
They're like, yeah, this is backwards and stupid. So no, don't do it. It's our way or no way.
Yeah.
But it's that his medicine that was given to Khalid that made the experiments even work. And so and Khalid does kind of lead on to that. So it almost implies that they're going to eventually figure it out, because they're like, we're going to kill Holden unless you tell us what happened. And so she reveals that that dude, when I killed him, it got in my cuts and my wounds, and then Chapman gave me his like medicine. But she didn't already say what, doesn't say what it did, but it kind of gave them...
She didn't know either.
Yeah, it kind of gave them the hints that I could imply that there's going to be like maybe a huge army of these creepos. But who knows? And we get a really cool battle scene too. And this is the whole thing painting where it's just like, they're all going to die.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised. So Holden, the rebel leader, and like a few other people like barely make it out. But like the whole time we were just like, they're gonna die. Like, they're gonna die right now. They're gonna die right now. They're gonna die right now.
Literally.
Because Khalid like confronts the Anointed, and because she thinks she's strong enough to take on the Anointed, but she gets her butt handed to her.
Yeah.
Like that, and we find out the regenerative ability of the Anointed is just insane.
Yeah.
Like part of the rebels' plan was to have sent a suicide bomber after Avi, and they blow her to crap. And then we get to Avi's perspective, and she's like, "Oh, it was really painful to have all my DNA knit back together." So like she was like obliterated, and she was like
she's back still up. Healed.
And then it's just insane.
Yeah, and she even like proves her strength to Khalid by when this whole rebel attack gave Khalid the opportunity to escape and to join the rebels, and she was like killing everyone, but she didn't know the rebels were there. She was more just like, I want to find Avi, I gotta kill her.
Yeah.
And so she does find her, and then Avi just like lets her wail on her. Avi doesn't do anything to protect herself, just to prove to Khalid that like, you are so insanely weak compared to me still. And like, yeah, it was like one hit took Khalid out.
Yeah, like busted up, like she had like ruined her armor.
Yeah, and she was even like, this whole thing, she was like laughing because Khalid was laughing because she was getting shot by people and it wasn't hurting. and she wasn't feeling it, and like she was getting all these wounds, and nothing was doing anything to her.
Yeah, because it was like her armor was like just.
Yeah, so she was just totally thinking she was.
And she massacred other people. Like normal people didn't have any chance against Khalid.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, she does appear to be still below the anointed, which still makes me curious. Like, I can't remember. Were they continuously giving her drip? Or was she just
I don't think at the point where she started to escape they weren't, but I think they were giving her regular doses.
So that's why she was getting stronger. So maybe I was thinking maybe she would get stronger.
I don't know because it didn't really say. Because it said that she felt whenever she would do something like exert her muscles or like do something, she said that she would feel her muscles tear, and then she would feel the worms knit them back together and make her stronger. So it almost seemed like they were just part of her, like they completely changed her physiology, and that she's just now. And it seems like she's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So maybe eventually she'll be able to take on an anointed, but at least at this point she wasn't able to. We also get a really cool scene with we see what grips can do.
Oh yeah! Oh man, I was actually super shocked.
It's a really interesting magic system that Daniel Greene came up with, like the Grohalind or the Grohalind, whatever it's. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever this poison stuff is.
Basically, it's this magical force that grips can access. And what it is that they can use their mass, and they're really huge. They're pretty much giants. It seems like they're really big.
Everyone was
really
like, "Holy
big.
crap, he's the biggest person!"
And what they can do is they can access this force. And they can use their mass to like influence things, like push things, pull things, and they can do other things to like they can anchor themselves to like rip and tear. But doing that like makes them exude this like poison that's like super toxic, and like the only reason they can use the magic system is because the grips are like. Not immune to it, but they have a higher tolerance for it. But they even said in the book, it even said that if they use it too much, they'll also die, and that they eventually have to retire or they die early.
Yeah, they even one of the Empire's grips was like ordered to go somewhere and use this power, and he just blew himself up as like a suicide bomber. Yeah. So definitely
like fire everywhere, and like he created this whole toxin area where like if you went in this area, you would die because of the toxin.
Yeah,
and like they had this really cool armor, which I thought was just like cool armor, but the armor is made to like contain the poison in them so that it doesn't spread to the people around them. But anyway, this really cool grip fights the anointed, and like it's obvious that he's more skilled than Avi. Like he kicks her butt, but he takes like everything out of him.
Yeah, and she still is like heals and stuff.
He does like this really cool move where he's like wow, and he like, ends up jumping in the air, and then like. Puts all his body weight and like whatever else he does to like crush, like he crushes Avi.
Yeah.
And he like leans down. He's like, and then Avi like heals and is like, oh, good job. Like because you were able to beat me, I'll give you a merciful death, and then kills him.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang.
Yeah.
But then luckily the Grohalind was so powerful that it kind of knocked Avi out. Because I think if it hadn't, Avi would have been able to find and kill.
She probably would have been able to catch up to us the rest of the
it was
rebels.
like literally like barely that they escaped. But.
Yeah. And we're kind of up. I don't remember if it resolved this completely, but Holden was there when this.
Yeah, so Holden, Reki, the main rebel leader,
like Perka.
I don't forget what her name is, but they all escape on the ship.
Yeah, but I was just kind of curious what's going to happen with Holden, is because he was the grip's name was Crom, and Crom was using his power so massively to fight Avi that. The armor didn't do enough, and it massively overdosed everyone who was there, and he got like sick and was like thrown up, and like he suddenly like lost comprehension and was like, what's going on? Who threw up on this? Why am I tripping on throw up and whatever? I'm kind of curious if there's gonna be anything with him. Maybe he will eventually die, and then Kalidos be like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, we don't know if Daniel Greene's gonna write any other books.
I'm scared that he's not going to.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
I only say that because I noticed when I bought these books, it said like, oh, this is 1 of 2. Oh, this is 2 of 2. I'm like,
and he already wrote another book from a completely different series.
Yeah,
so.
I would definitely say that he's left it open. He can very much come back to the series and not have to pull something up, be like, oh, I have to make up this thing. Oh, this random thing means that.
He left it open in the way that it can also be over forever. Like, he could easily bring it back up and be like, okay, let's do this again. Or he could easily just be like, okay, well, yeah, that's it. Done.
Yeah.
So, either way, like, a really good story. Really awesome. Good first books. So, we'll see if he continues writing. And
lesson like...
And he's going to be at Dragonsteel.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I'm excited to meet him, see if we can stop by his booth. Because he has a booth, so he's not like I don't know if he might be a panelist, but has a booth, so I want to go buy his booth.
Maybe we can get his other book over there.
That's what I was thinking.
That'd be sweet.
That'd be kind of fun.
That's probably a really good way to support authors. Is like go to Dragon's Den, buy the books.
Yeah, buy one book from every author there. That'd be so expensive.
And if I had the money, I would totally do that.
Yeah, seriously.
How is it you discovered Daniel Greene?
I discovered him a few years ago because I was just typing on YouTube like. I like when YouTubers do like those. Oh, these are the top 10 fantasy books that I like, and he did one of those kind of books. And I kind of got onto him, and he's also the one that got me onto Gentlemen Bastards.
Oh, okay.
That series. He really likes that series and said good things about it, and I decided to read it because of his recommendation. And then I just found out on his channel he was like, I wrote a book, and here it is, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out. That was like I watched that video recently, but that video, I think he released these books in like 2001 or something. So, I mean.
2001?
Sorry, 2021.
Oh, okay. I was like, he wrote these like over 20 years ago. Wow.
I think he's our age. I don't think he's that old.
He didn't look that old to me.
Yeah.
That's cool. I went into this series not having a clue who Daniel Greene was and knowing nothing about the books. You just said you were reading this. I was like, okay, I'll read it. But man, like going into a blind I thought was really good because I just had no idea where it was going. So everything was a complete mystery. And the fact that it went from like what I would consider your typical like police TV show to like uncovering this massive conspiracy that like this empire government is just like not at all what people think it is. And how just blind they've all been, and not only all that, but there's also like these other things like the grip, who can use these magical powers and the anointed and stuff like that. Just like I wasn't expecting really any of it.
Yeah, me neither. So.
And how quickly it went away. I thought it was just going to be all about like solving the murders, and it just like that went away so quick.
Yeah, that was like gone. I was like, oh dang.
Yeah,
this is not what I expected. But well done.
This makes me
definitely recommend it.
Yeah, this makes me crave. I want more like fantasy mystery books.
Yeah,
I think they're really interesting. Like I love the Dresden Files and the way they're doing that.
Yes, I love Dresden because he took like real. This is like real life. Like he does like.
Yeah. He
doesn't create his own new fantasy because he's like, it turns out vampires are real, werewolves are real, and wizards are real. So it's kind of cool in that perspective.
Literally, I think every fantasy thing is real in the Dresden Files.
Yeah, no, I think it is.
Because like you got the typical like
Hades.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like okay, you meet like vampires and werewolves, then you've got like ghosts and goblins and fae, and then you meet like the Greek gods. That like Hades is real, so that must mean like Zeus and all the other gods are real. But also, like God, like the Christian God is real, and the archangels are real. And Santa Claus is real. Like, what?
And who else
isn't real?
In later books, Murphy trains with them a lot. Who are they again?
Like Michael?
No, Murphy, because it's during the time when Harry's spoiler alerts, like major spoiler alerts. It's when Harry's dead and he's a ghost. And Murphy's training with like these like Valhalla people or something. Or
I don't remember.
They're not Valkyrie, but they're like very similar to like what a Valkyrie is.
It wasn't the Hunt.
Like they're not humans. And she's like training with them.
I don't remember. I have vague memories.
When I
of her
read it, I was
with
like,
someone.
oh, that's pretty cool, but I couldn't remember what it was because Odin was their leader.
Oh,
remember that?
So it was some sort of Valhalla.
Yeah, it was some
Viking.
some Nordics.
Were they the? I'm trying to think of like Marvel now with like Odin and Thor and Loki.
Because it wasn't one of the gods. It was like their soldiers. What are their soldiers called? Like when you go to like the great halls of Valhalla to fight or I don't remember what it was.
I just thought it was the soldiers.
I don't know. It was something. Dang it.
You talking about Asgardians? That's what I'm trying to.
No,
that's what
not
I'm thinking
Asgardians. It was like some. Dang it.
Well, somebody.
Good. That was good. But I would totally read more fantasy mystery books. This was really good.
As long as they're done well. Well, like every book has to be done well in order for it to be enjoyable. But
yeah.
I think it'd be super cool to have something like this, where like this one turned more from a mystery to like a total like government conspiracy stuff. But like if we had something like a police TV show that was fantasy and books, that would be super
I just
cool.
really liked the perspective of this story of a police officer realizing that the government and state they are supporting is completely evil.
Yeah, that definitely is. That I like that a lot because not something you normally
then,
see.
like,
Usually you're like,
'cause the
it's,
story
everything
was,
is about
like,
the rebels
How
usually.
many books have we read where like you're in the rebels and the rebels are like, oh, the Empire did it again? Like, remember when that precinct was destroyed? Like, that was a cover up. And they're like, oh my gosh, like we were in that. Like we lived that story that the rebels always used to like get more people to their cause.
And the thing that like drives you to want to read the next book is like they were so close to uncovering and like spreading this whole thing to like the royals and the rest of the world, be like, hey, this empire is actually really bad and they're not doing us any favors.
Completely failed. Like there's everything. Like this was a completely hopeless situation.
Yeah.
Like even if they had succeeded, like the Anointed are so powerful. Like how do you stop them?
How do they get such
She got
power?
blown to smithereens and reknit from nothing.
Yes, I don't know how you.
How do you kill that?
You can rip her heart out, and she probably doesn't grow a new one.
Yeah, like what do you decapitate her? Like would another head grow, or do you just
or maybe she just grow another body or something? I don't
you
even
just
know.
put her in chains and sink her to the bottom of the ocean, and the weight of the ocean keeps her down? I don't know.
Yeah, something.
So it seems like even if they had let the nobles know. Because the whole rebels' plan of revealing what was going on is the nobles would be like, oh, dang. And then the nobles and the police would work together to check the government. But I'm like, would that even have worked?
I don't think so.
I don't think it would have.
I think if they got far enough, they'd be able to, like, fight the drip and stuff like that. But then, like, I think it'd get to the point where they'd just be like, hey, send one of the Anointed in. We just got to wipe them all out. Oh, it was the rebels. Some crap like that.
Yeah, so you realize that the government uses the rebels just to keep the people afraid and like, oh, those dang rebels.
Yeah.
So like how many of the times they said the rebels did something that the rebels actually do what they said they did?
I don't think it was that much because when you meet the rebels, it's like,
there's only 800. There's only 800 of them.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot because the scope of the city, there's like millions of people in this city. And so I don't know if it's that big, but it's like a huge city.
It was like the capital, so I think it's one of the bigger cities.
Yeah. So 800 is not a lot. Like it's tiny, 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 tiny.
Yeah, no.
And especially considering the fact that their plan wasn't to overthrow the government, it was to run away and get to a completely different continent.
Yeah, they already knew
that was their whole plan. It was to run. And would they have any inklings or plans to like, we gotta overthrow and kill the Anointed? It was like, no, we gotta get the crap out of here.
Yeah, right. Oh man, yeah, I definitely agree. Daniel did a great job.
Yeah, they're really good. So don't listen to the reviews. That's it's a bad book.
Yeah,
at least in our estimation, it is a good book. Good couple books.
These are also short books, so give it a shot. And I don't know if I didn't see the first one because I didn't look for it, but I do know that the Rebels Creed, the second book, is on Daniel's YouTube page, and you get the full audiobook. So you could go listen to it. It doesn't even cost you anything.
It's narrated by Michael Kramer and Kate Redding,
which I thought was also super impressive. Like he's this new author, but he got Michael Kramer and Kate Redding to read his book.
Yeah, that's all we had for you today. So cool things. Looking forward to the rest of the year. A couple good books from a new author, or new-ish author. He published these a couple years ago, but still go check those out. And then next week we'll have a new book for you, and we'll be going through that. And
don't forget to comment down below whether Jordan should get a new Kindle when his Kindle dies, or just start with physical books.
Just get back into physical books.
Or do both.
They'll probably end up being both. We'll see. Okay.
That was fun.
Bye.
We'll see y'all next week.
It's over.